I know it's 3 o'clock or thereabouts. Hello. I am like a 5-year-old child in the middle, watching the television, watching myself on my own TV show. Hey, Retro Road Mappers, it's Mod Betty. I will hit this button. I hope it doesn't do anything weird. All right, it's Mod Betty, Retro Roadmap, Facebook Live. Facebook Live, not kidding, number 38. So 38 videos I have done since the beginning of COVID, the beginning of the middle of March. As we all know, it all kind of changed in the middle of March. So welcome everybody to Retro Roadmap Facebook Live from the Hacienda summer/fall, maybe into the autumn studio. I want to stay out here for as long as possible. I might be out here in like my parka or whatever, because it's just, you know, it's so nice. It's still so nice out. Welcome everybody. Craig, nice to see you. Maybe I will see you on Saturday. For those of you who are in the, I don't know, the Pennsylvania area, I will be in Lancaster, PA at this thing called the 40 Elephants Vintage Market. Information on that is on the Facebook group. And today we are going to be talking about a state that I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you the shape of it. And you already know what state I'm talking about because it is so iconic in its shape, much like me. So today we are talking about Texas, because what I have done, I'm speaking in the royal we, is I started back in March, and this is for newcomers, and this is a refresher for people who have tuned in many weeks in a row, and I thank you so much for doing that. But what I decided to do was to entertain and inform and inspire, which is the things I love to do. Those are the verbs that get me all excited. I decided to, instead of doing my books, because who knows when we're going to be able to go out again to go to the places that we love. But I started kind of a virtual road trip, as it were, that we're all on. So I'm the navigator. I'm kind of like driving the bus. You guys are all passengers, so you don't have to worry about it, because I'm going to drive you someplace fun. Cool vintage places that get me excited. Maybe they get you excited too. And we started up here in Maine and New England, because this is where I'm from, and I'm kind of that east to west. As I often mention, and Craig knows that I'm always singing in my head, Go West by the Pet Shop Boys, which I love. But yeah, so we are going west, and we have gone west. And now we're kind of going kind of up and down, north and south to the west. So we're all the way across here, all the way up, all the way down. We did Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, last week. And then today, we're doing Texas. Now, here's the deal with Texas. Wicked big state, as we would say up in Massachusetts. Wicked big state. Susan Nichols actually asked me last week, are you going to do all of Texas in one episode? And I said, yep. But what I will tell you is this. I have an hour to tell you about things in Texas, and OMG, I'm not going to get to all these ones. I promise at some point I'm going to figure out a way to share all of the places that I've gotten. But I will give you my highlights, because this is a very big state, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and we got a special musical guest today. All the way from in the other room, Mr. Cliff Hillis is going to be showing up in random times. We don't know when. Maybe he'll sense the Spidey sense, the Betty sense, and come out here. I'm going to be talking about Texas. So enough of me talking about Texas. I will start telling you about my favorite places. Now, 2 quick things before I start. I talk about these places as if they are around and open right now. I did my best to do my research to ensure that they are open, but with COVID and with things changing, you just never know. So if you decide to go to any place that I've mentioned on one of my videos, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube channel, just do your research right before you go, because you just don't know if places are going to be open, and I don't want you to be disappointed. The other thing is too, is if you have been to Texas, or you have a list of places you want to go to in Texas, add your 2 cents. Add your stone to the stone soup in the comment section, so that we all get to know about the places that you want to go to in Texas. Like, for example, those of you who want to drive Route 66, right up here, this is where we're going to start. Route 66 goes boop all the way across the little, I don't know what this is, the hat of Texas. Deep in the heart of Texas. No, that's not how it goes, is it? But we're going to go here, then we're going to go down here, and we're going to do a lot of driving, and then you can see where there's like little clusters. So I've tried to pick the highlights, okay? I'm going to put this down because I'm getting a cramp. But envision yourself driving from Oklahoma towards Amarillo on Route 66 and then heading down, okay? So Texas it is. So Amarillo, I have to share for Jeff Cooper, I see you're tuned in, and I have to share with you, you are the one who clued us into that song, Amarillo, by Tony Christie, that I don't think was a big deal in the States. It might have been, and maybe it was like, not that it feels like anything was before my time, but we were listening to it last week and cracking up because it's so catchy. Retro Road husband Cliff Hillis does not know that one, so I won't even call him out and make him feel bad, but that is it. Exactly. You're going to lay your head on the pillow and Sweet Marie. See, I did follow up, and that was great. But we are in Amarillo. But before we get to Amarillo, the very first place I'm going to tell you about in Texas, on Route 66, a highlight of Route 66 and the entire state of Texas, because it is so beautiful. You Route 66 knowers know, yeah. You Route 66ers know that I'm talking about the You Drop In Cafe in Shamrock, Texas. This is a wonderful place on the National Register of Historic Places. And if you ever saw the movie Cars, not Here in My Car, but Cars by Disney, Pixar, all that, there's a place that is Ramon's body art in that movie that was inspired by this classic building that was built in 1936, originally as a gas station and a cafe. Absolutely gorgeous. Glazed brick, neon, just gorgeous from every angle. I wish every building in the world looked as beautiful as they've done such a good renovation job on this one. So please stop there. It is now a visitor center. You can take pictures. Wonderful place to Instagram, little hashtagging action. You know what I mean? Wonderful place. That is on the way to Amarillo, and there are a couple of cool places in Amarillo. Now I am going to be kind of stepping on the gas and putting on the brake to make sure I get to all of these places, but I'll hit a few of these ones in Amarillo. Andy Havens, you sweet talker, Betty Crocker. The Big Texan Steak Ranch. So this is one of those places that you're driving on the highway and you see like the billboards, you know, like on the East Coast, we would see the ones for south of the border. And then there's one, See Rock City, in those. And you get, after a while, you get a bit road weary and you're like, oh, what the hell? What the heck? Let's go see what's up at the Big Texan Steakhouse. Now, this is it's not in downtown. It's right on the highway. You'll totally see it. You'll pull over. They guarantee that if you eat their 72-ounce steak, you can get it for free. What they don't tell you is that they put you on a pedestal in the middle of the restaurant. You have to eat all the fixins, and they have a timer in front of you. So no pressure, but you can do that, or you can just order and pay off the menu, which is a whole less stressful. It was built in 1960, totally just a crazy roadside attraction you go to. And if you're staying with a big group at a motel or a hotel around there, check it out. Call them up and see if they will send a Cadillac with a giant, or a limousine with a giant Longhorns. I don't even know how you do the Longhorn thing. Jazz hands? But they might send a car with a guy with a cowboy hat with the Longhorns. I'm cracking up. I still don't know how to do it. Rhett Miller, how do you do the Longhorns? Anyhow, they will send a car and pick you up, okay? Speaking of cars make me think of vintage campers, like our lovely vintage camper right here. Jack Sizemore is the largest or oldest RV dealership in Texas. The reason I say that is because they also have this wicked cool RV and vintage camper museum that you can go to for free, right? It's got the oldest mobile home. What do they got? World's oldest Airstream, you know, the shiny ones. The Fleetwoods, oldest Fleetwoods, and the first Itasca motorhome ever built. Great place to walk around. You can go into some of them. If any of you saw in real time the videos that I was doing from Route 66 last June, they're also on the Facebook page here and on the Retro Roadmap YouTube page. I did a video from this place, so you might want to check it out because it's wicked fun. Amarillo, if you don't want a big steak, maybe you want to get a burger at a place called the Beef Burger Barrel. It's shaped like a barrel. And after all this snacking during COVID, I too may be shaped like a barrel. It was built in 1937. And yeah, giant barrel-shaped, what do I want to call it? Because I'm thinking of the other one. Giant barrel-shaped building. Didn't even think of that word. There's another one in California that when I do California is going to be the last state I do on Thursday, December 31st during the day, so New Year's Eve day. There's another barrel-shaped restaurant, so keep that in your head because we're going to talk about that. There's also a place called the Tecose Drive-In. Drive-In, because it's a drive-in movie theater. So Texas currently has 18 drive-ins still operating. That means it's the 5th largest state in terms of open drive-ins. So I won't mention all of them, but if you want to go to a drive-in movie in there, you can do that. A couple of other places that are of note in that area on the Route 66 tip, Cadillac Ranch. Do you know how to sing Cadillac Ranch? Cadillac, Cadillac. No? Okay. He doesn't know how to sing it, but some he does, I swear. Cadillac Ranch, it's the place where they, 1974, they buried all these Cadillac cars, kind of like a Stonehenge. It's on private property, but you are allowed to visit, and you are allowed to bring spray paint and graffiti on it. So it's fun. Now, Amarillo begins with an A, and so does Adrian, Texas. Adrian, Texas is the midway point on Route 66. It's the midway point between Chicago and Los Angeles. So this is a great place to stop for a photo op. There's also a place called the Midpoint Cafe, which is totally adorable. They are famous for their pies, and their whole little dining area is filled with these cool, like vintage 1950s dinette sets that you can sit in. So... we got some jokesters in there. A little stave off the barrel jokes, huh? I love this. Jeff, meet Andy. Andy, meet Jeff. You guys will get along wonderfully. Lubbock, Texas. I don't think there are any songs about Lubbock. There's this one place in there, real quick. It's called Safety City. It's this little tiny miniature-sized city that they built so kids would learn how to drive safely. I so want to go there for my Just Drive Your Lifing. I think that would be photo op heaven. But the other thing that Lubbock, Texas is famous for, Lubbock is famous because that is where, I almost said Peggy Sue, Buddy Holly is from. So they have the Buddy Holly Center in Lubbock. Yeah, I don't think he knows any Buddy Holly either. Do you know? So we're going to go to El Paso. Anybody? This is what this means. Down in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Anybody?
I don't know it.
You don't know it? Okay. Maybe you know something in a little bit. So El Paso, that's a Marty Robbins song that you would know if you would listen to the old-timey music like I do. So that's that. Maybe you sing along. There's a lot of songs to sing along to in Texas. But the neat thing about Rose's Cantina, so there's a place in El Paso called Rose's Cantina, and it's like chicken egg. Did the cantina come before the song? Song come before the thing? But it's a fun place to stop by, and you'd be singing that song on the road all the way there. Also, a couple of other places in El Paso. There is a former Texaco station that has now been donated to the Historical Society that they're going to fix up. It's kind of was fixed up, and then it got unfixed up, and now it's going to be refixed up. But that's in El Paso. A House of Sugar, the folk art confection. Now, people know Maud Betty loves the outsider art. I love the insider art, like the stuff that's inside museums, that's good. But the stuff that they wouldn't put in a museum, like, for example, somebody's house that a guy for 25 years started to decorate that reminded him of all the ornate statues and features of the Catholic churches from his youth in Mexico. So quite a wonderful thing to go see. See, Stuart. Oh, you're in good company because you've got Andy Havens here and you've got Jeff Cooper. You guys, we're going to have a lot to talk about, I'm telling you. So Lubbock, we talked about Lubbock. We talked about El Paso. Marfa, I hardly know her. Sorry. Marfa is a place where they're famous for, it's kind of like a bit of a hipster place. Nothing wrong with hipsters. They keep things interesting. There's a place called El Cosmico. It's a place you can stay, and And there's like, you can stay in, here's the hipster part of it, you can stay in Mongolian yurts. Like when I hear the word yurt, I'm thinking hipster. Many other lodgings include teepees, trailers, safari tents, cabins, and a spacious lawn area for tent setups. So Marfa is on the way to San Antonio. Does anybody know any songs about San Antonio?
Did you say San Antone?
I said San Antone.
I don't really know the whole song, but I do know, what am I doing hanging round? I should be on that train and gone. I should be riding on that train to San Antone. What am I doing hanging around?
That's all you know?
Yep.
Oh, okay. It's one of my favorite Monkey songs, you guys. Did you know that Mike Nesmith of the Monkees is from Texas? That's kind of how I used to love Texas all back in the day. I wish he learned more songs like that, but maybe he'll show up and play a couple of others. Because we're in San Antonio, or San Antone, as Nez likes to say. San Antone is around here. Now, I needed to get the whole map here, so there's a big blob of stuff here, but I'll tell you a couple of places in San Antonio, and then maybe we'll go off the chart a little bit. San Antonio. Here was a fun thing. They used to have a drive-in movie theater called the Mission Marquee. And actually, it's the Mission Drive-In. They knocked down the drive-in, they kept the marquee, and now you can actually go, they will show movies on the marquee, and you just lay out your blanket and stuff like that. So that's in San Antonio. Such a good thing. Yeah, I was actually thinking, Charles, you're mentioning San Antonio. It's a great visit. I think so, too. They have this thing called the Riverwalk downtown that looks kind of cool. It's got a lot of stuff on it. A couple of neat hotels that I saw, like the Mansion, the Emily Morgan, the Menger Hotel and Bar. They're also all like kind of historic hotels in San Antonio. The Majestic Theater. The Majestic Theater was opened in 1929. National Register of Historic Places, always good in my book. The Aztec Theater looked pretty cool too. That was opened in 1924. Oh, this was a neat thing. Couple of things totally retro roadmap worthy. One, Kitty Park. Not kitty like meow. Kitty like in hey little kids. Kitty Park in San Antonio, established in 1925. The oldest children's amusement park in the entire country. And it has a Herschel Spillman carousel. I love that kind of stuff. And then San Antonio, I keep on calling it San Antone, like I'm in the Monkees, is kind of a hotbed for like burgers and stuff. So they have, there's the Tip Top Cafe, which is kind of old school, the Bun and Barrel. I don't think it's shaped like a barrel, but it's still called the Bun and Barrel. Burger Boy is an old school place too, but here's an interesting one. This one, it kind of puts it on the map, the Pig Stand. The Pig Stand in San Antonio, and now this is famous for, it was America's first drive-in eatery. Now it opened in Dallas in 1921. However, this one in San Antonio is the last one remaining. They had at one point, the Pig Stand had over 100 locations, and now number 29 in San Antonio is the only one. So if you want to go get a burger and you need to choose from all those wonderful options, you can do that. What else do we have here? Oh, silly me. I almost forgot the Alamo. Do you know? Are there songs about... I don't think there are songs about the Alamo. But yeah, I almost forgot the Alamo because you're not supposed to forget the Alamo. The Alamo is there. They do have a gift shop, but it's not in the basement. And those of you who saw Pee-wee's Great Adventure, my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies, besides That Thing You Do and Beach Blanket Bingo and Hard Day's Night, yeah, the Alamo, don't forget it. So we're about to leave San Antonio. I wonder which direction we should tune into. Maybe we should, I don't know. Hey, Retro Road Husband,
Hey.
Do you know where any routes outside of San Antonio?
I think 35 goes down to Laredo, right?
Really? How did you find that out?
I heard this once in a song.
Really?
Yeah.
Could you sing that song for me, please?
It's a song by the Old 97. So
Okay.
my buddy Rhett Miller.
There you go. I'm gonna bow out because yeah, here. It's all up to you.
This is a love song of sorts.
No, it's not. It's not.
One old brown shoe falls in slow motion. Bed springs hover right above your head, as bed springs do. Oh, the producer's tough. Well, you need them. time she thought she probably got to Phoenix.
That's a future episode.
She'd arranged for your shoes to be filled, but you've got your pride and a blue steel 45, and you're waiting for the other shoe to fall. Dig a double grave
You need to go to Laredo.
out in the meadow. Curse the rain that turns the dirt to mud. Take 35 south to Laredo. Try to find a doctor who can prescribe an elixir that'll make everything better. 'Cause if the old ain't what been the lover. Not the proper song to be singing right
Yeah,
now.
no, stop. Yeah.
You're waiting for the other shoe to fall. Yeah, you're waiting for the other shoe to fall.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. It was Mr. Cliff Hillis on the Really Big Shoe. Really Big Shoe. So yes, that was a song by the old 97s. One of his favorite songs, bands. They're from Texas, so that mentioned a Texas thing. And maybe later on in the episode, there might be a couple more of those musical interludes. One in particular I'm very excited about that it might happen. Listen to me. Oh, like it might happen. So anyhow, so he was up in, I'm wondering, was the guy actually in San Antonio? And so he would have taken 35 down to Laredo. Now, frankly, I didn't find a lot of stuff that's in Laredo, but there was a song. I'm all about the songs, you know. Yes, Evan, wouldn't that be fun? We should take this on the road. So if you know any producers, you know, want a little TV show action, go on the road. Play the Orpheums, stadiums and coliseums. Okay, so that's where we were in San Antone. And now we're going to go up to Houston. Now, that was my really bad imitation of Dean Martin, but that's pretty much the only part of that song I know, so I didn't make Retro Roadhouseman learn that. A couple of things in Houston. We have the Art Car Museum, or since I know that there are some people I grew up with in New England, Massachusetts, Boston areas particularly, and the Art Car Museum. Jeff Cooper, you would like this. And anybody, but really, because I know Jeff Cooper likes the Beatles, there are some gigantic statues of the Beatles, like 35 feet high, in the middle of Houston. Total photo op. I love that. There's a house made out of beer cans. That looks pretty neat. And then there's a place called the Orange Show. Now again, this falls into the outsider art category. But it's a guy who was a mailman for 35 years. He thought that oranges were the perfect food. And during his time as a mailman, he would collect junk and he would add it to his house. And all of a sudden, kind of like our house is getting to be looking like, it looked like outsider art. So that is in Houston. And the neat thing is, I love this. So he did this thing. He made his house crazy. It's just in the middle of like a residential neighborhood. And then, unfortunately, the gentleman passed away, as we all will, right? So instead of the neighbors saying, haha, finally that crazy house, let's knock it down and, you know, reclaim our, you know, boring suburban lifestyle, some people got together and they created a foundation to maintain this house, the Orange Show in Houston. So when you're there, check that out. Couple of places. Ooh, we're almost near a seaside place with a I had no idea we were going to be hitting the beach so soon, but I'll talk about a couple more places in Houston. Houston. You know what? Maybe we'll come back to that other place later. But the Dot Coffee Shop, the Dot, listen to me. That's how they would talk. So Dorchester in Massachusetts, they call it Dot. And I can't say Dot without sounding like I'm from Massachusetts. I apologize. But the Dot Coffee Shop, it's like a threefer there, right there, people. That has been open since 1967. It is kind of a googie-shaped, like, coffee shop, but huge. Like, everything in Texas is huge. The toast, the longhorns, however you make them, everything. Dot Coffee Shop, Avalon Diner. Not a real diner, but it's still a place that has counter seating, old school looking. And then check this out, too. Again, I don't like to typically send you to, what do you call them? Museums, because I like it when history is still alive. Like you can go to places that still exist and you can do the stuff and the things in there. But there's a place called the 1940 Air Terminal Museum. I bet you wonder when it was opened. Yeah, it's been there since 1940, and it's in an air terminal. It's located at the William P. Hobby Airport, and it's got collections housed in the original Art Deco building, which served as the first purpose-built terminal. Like somebody made one by accident, like, oops, I didn't realize I just made an airline terminal. But it was the first purpose-built terminal for passenger flight in Houston. And those of you who are watching know how Maud Betty just loves the Art Deco. So she is going to highly recommend that. Now, we were going to go to the beach, but I'm going to hold off on going to the beach in a few minutes because I want to make sure we get up to Austin. Austin. Yeah, Dallas steakhouses, like everything in Texas is big. But let's talk about Austin. So Austin is great. It is a creative hub. There are all sorts of neat things. And Retro Road husband and I, about almost 10 years ago, we drove down there from here. A lot of fun. South by Southwest is a big music thing that goes on there. But there are also a number of things that would appeal to the Retro Road mapper in us all. So for example, the oldest restaurant in Texas, and it's not even a steakhouse. It is a German restaurant from 1886 called Schultz Garden. And it's also a beer garden, like B-I-E-R. So it's fancier than just beer. Also, there's a place called Lammy's. It makes me think of Lemmy from Motorhead. Lammy's Candies on Airport Boulevard specifically. They have a couple of locations, but this one looked like the cutest one. And it's a cheerful old-timey chocolate shop. They're famous for their taffy and their pralines since 1885. And the Austin Motel. Now, you will often see, because I tend to post these things, that places like USA Today and the other papers, and, we'll do a thing like top 10 vintage hotels, motels in the world, and inevitably, or in the country, and inevitably the Austin Motel will show up. Not only because it is an old school motel, I think it was opened in like 1938, in the middle of downtown, but also the design of its neon sign is a little bit risque if you have a potty brain. So that's, I think, one of the reasons why it makes it. But it's still a cool place. If you don't want to go old school motel in Austin and you want to go to fancy hotel, you would want to go to the Driscoll. Now, the Driscoll's in right downtown. It's supposedly haunted. It is from 1886 again. And this just kind of, I don't want to say cracks me up, but it's so fascinating for me to learn as a U.S. citizen. Because I come from the land down under. No, here where we are. I'm going off script, people. But I come from up here, and literally where I'm from, like people started populating stuff 1620, Plymouth Rock, not Pilgrim Rock. Plymouth Rock would land on them. Town that I grew up in, I don't know if there's any more Needhamites that tuned in, but for some reason I remember 1711. I think it must have been on the cover of one of my notebooks in high school. 1711 is when my town was born. So the fact that like out here in Texas, the oldest things are like within 20 years of the 20th century, that's just so interesting to me how those things evolve. So in any case, some of the oldest things in Texas, as far as, there were, trust me, I know the indigenous people and Mexico and all that stuff. And oh God, I don't even want to go into all that stuff. But, so some of these places are, 1886 and stuff. So the Driscoll in Austin, famous historic hotel, you can stay in there, or if you don't want to stay there, it's got a lovely, fancy lobby and a cool bar that you can hang out and get a cocktail at. I often remember the wonderful time we had there when we were in South by Southwest, seeing some bands there. So that's the Driscoll. Now, talking about South by Southwest and a little bit more pop culture stuff, there's a place called Top Notch Burgers. Now, Top Notch Burgers is a place that sells, well, Top Notch Burgers. It has been around, actually, it's only been around since 1971. So this is funny. I say that's not that old. That's going to be 50, like next year. Just like my sister, Pam, is going to be 50 next year. I know she doesn't watch this, so I can say that, and she won't catch me. Anyhow, so I think it's only been there since 1971, but that's almost 50 years old. So Top Notch Burgers is a burger place to go to, and that movie Dazed and Confused. All right. You know what I'm saying? It was a famous location. They filmed at the Top Notch for Matthew McConaughey, I think his name is. Filmed there. So if you want to go get a twofer, you can get your burger, your onion rings, retro roadmap worthy, and be like, I went to a place that they filmed a movie. Check. So I'm going to do another place from Austin, and then we will go to the beach. You know, the beach where we used to run, as it were. Roadhouse Relics. I was realizing I could not send you to Austin without telling you to go and check out this art gallery. There's an artist named Todd Sanders, and he is wonderful because he repairs, but he more like creates neon signs that look like old school signs, and they are wonderful creations, and you should just check it out. So, as I mentioned, I thought we might take a vacation to the lovely island. It is an island of Galveston, Texas. Anybody know a song about Galveston? Oh, this guy does.
I know a song about I got my Lusky Roper. I bought this in Dallas. How can I not wear it?
Oh my God, you slay me. I had no idea.
Galveston, you say?
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Galveston, oh Galveston, I still hear your sea winds blowing. I still see your dark eyes glowing. She was 21 and I left Galveston. Galveston, oh Galveston, I still hear your sea waves crashing while I watch the cannons flashing. I clean my gun, dream of Galveston. I still see her standing by the water, standing there looking out to sea. Is she waiting there for me on the beach we used to run? Galveston, oh Galveston, I am so afraid of dying. Before I die, the tears she's crying. Before I watch the seabirds flying in the sun. At Galveston, at Galveston.
Thank you very kindly.
Adios, partner.
Adios.
Wasn't that awesome? Oh, he's such a good egg. Such a good egg. Yeah. There we go. Well, you know what, Jeff Cooper, you're right. So everybody, that's Retro Road husband Cliff Hillis. He does his own Facebook Live because, yeah, Andy Havens. I can't keep up with all the comments. I apologize. My phone only shows me one of them. But Andy Havens, yes, we are trying to be as entertaining as possible in this COVID to at least give people something to goof off and laugh at. And be entertained during this crazy season because it feels good to laugh. And when he came out with his Lusky Roper, that's been carrying around. He's been carrying that thing around for like 20 odd years now. But anyhow, yeah, he does a musical brunch on his website or Facebook on Sundays at 12:30, and I bet he's going to play that whole song now that I made him learn it because it's such a good one. Jimmy Webb, you know, Wichita lineman, and oh, I love that. But yeah, so Galveston is big surprise. It's a real place in Texas, and it's on the ocean. Well, I guess I was thinking, anyhow, sorry, wrong. Don't follow me. I'm lost too. Galveston is up here, and there are a couple of neat little places. Now, it's big surprise. It's like a lot of vacation areas that we go to, you know, on the coast or anyway. So they've got like the Star Drugstore and Soda Fountain. It's founded in 1906 and claims to be, this is how you kind of get around like being wrong, claims to be the oldest drugstore in Texas. They've got some porcelain enamel neon signs, old school places, and you know how Maud Betty loves a soda fountain. I sure do. There's also another soda fountain that maybe when you're there or when we're all in, oh, thank you. What a lovely sentiment. I appreciate that. Le King's Confectionery is an old school candy maker from the 1920s. So that's kind of the heyday of the soda fountain, the early 20th century, so they have that too. So you go and you get your ice creams when you're at the beach in Galveston. Magic Carpet Mini Golf. Now, I don't mention mini golf a lot because sometimes mini golf places, even though that was like a total like trend in the 1920s, there aren't as many that have that old school charm that really puts it on the retro road map. But the Magic Carpet Mini Golf is kind of falls into that category. And when you're on vacation and you're at the beach and you're eating like seafood, there's a place called Gaido Seafood that's been around since 1911. Like, you go there and then you exercise by playing mini golf at the Magic Carpet, and then you've justified going to get an ice cream after your seafood, and then you stay in a cool hotel. I mean, that is my take. That is my take on a fun time. So that is Galveston, Texas. All right. Okay, we're doing good on time. Just want to make sure because there's a lot to cover in Texas. There is. All my exes live in Texas now. They're usually New England and stuff. In any case, trying to hit some highlights here. Not going to hit them all, but I hope this is giving people listen to me, I'm in Texas. Hope that gives y'all some stuff to get excited about, maybe to go to yourself, maybe to inspire you to safely go traveling. Only do it when it's safe. Be safe for you, be safe for others. Oh yeah, and if you're interested, as I mentioned, I have done these Retro Roadmap Facebook Lives since March 17th. I don't know why I always have a hard time. I'm picturing it in the head. But so this is episode 38. If you have been entertained and you want to throw like, you know, a $5 in the cowboy hat, this should be a link somewhere on here that says buymeacoffee.com/MaudBetty, and that's how you can easily online just, you know, throw a couple of bucks in the kitty if you choose to do so. No pressure. I don't do this. I'm not making the big bucks from it. I do this because I want to give people something fun to look at, and be entertained, be inspired, be informed, you know, so that when we are all able to go and travel safely, that we have some destinations, some pins on our Just Drive Your Life maps that we want to go to. So that's my little spiel for that, okay? So we were in Galveston, oh, Galveston. Then we went to Austin, and now we're heading from Austin. I decided to go to Fort Worth. So there's like Dallas, Fort Worth, Dallas. But on the way there, we're going to stop in Waco. And the reason I'm going to send you there is for two reasons. Well, it's like if you wanted, it's not like a stay over type thing. It's like if you want to stop and get something to eat, I'm going to send you to a place because this slays me. It's a fast food restaurant called Health Camp. So to me, it's like, oh, look. And then you can go to I just thought of this. You can go to Health Camp and you can see Dr. Pepper. Excuse me, I'm going to Health Camp. I'm here to see, I have an appointment with Dr. Pepper because Dr. Pepper was invented in Waco, Texas in 1906 as, you know, like an elixir. And they have a museum in Waco, Texas that you can do that. And then you can get your fries and stuff and then pretend you're healthy at the Health Camp in Waco. So, hola, people. Hi, Judith. Nice to see you. But yeah, let's get to Fort Worth because I want to make sure I have enough time for everything. And I've still got plenty of things to talk about. So Peter Brothers hats. So I kind of forgot when I saw this, and then as Retro Road Husband just so eloquently displayed, hats, but cowboy hats are a big thing in Texas. So there's a place called the Peter Brothers hats that've been open since 1911. They've got brand name and custom hats, and they also restore hats. So let's say, you know, you got your chapeau needs to be blocked, I believe is one of those hat terms. You could bring it there. Speaking of cowboy hats, how about cowgirl hats, people? How about cowgirl hats that you would see at the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame, right? Us girls, we can be cow pokes too, poking the cows. This is filled with exhibits, films, and a gift shop celebrating the women who shaped the American West and more modern day heroines. And, you know, sisters are doing it for themselves, and they can totally be cowgirls. So there's that. And then if you are hungry, again, lots of burgers, I mean, big surprise. Cowboys, you get the cows, you get the steaks, you get the burgers, get the steaks. Kincaid's Hamburgers in Fort Worth has been around since 1946. And that looks like a cute little place. Now, it used to be a local chain. Now it's a few, and this one is like communal picnic tables, very cute place to go to. Now we're going from Fort Worth. Again, I'm only hitting some of these highlights because I want to make sure we kind of do the entirety of this state. And those of you, I mean, remember how small some states are? They're jam-packed. Texas is kind of big. So now we're driving from Fort Worth to Dallas. And between Fort Worth and Dallas is a place that I think is kind of interesting, the International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame. So, you know, back when we were doing the East Coast ones and I would talk about candlepin bowling, I'd talk about the duck pin bowling. I bet they have those here in addition to what I call Flintstone bowling or big ball bowling or what the rest of the country just calls bowling. So that is in Arlington, Texas, between Dallas and Fort Worth. Now, Dallas, here's the funny thing. Dallas, if you think of Dallas, I don't know if there's any songs, and no, he's good. He's been such a love. Dallas TV show, remember that one? Like Who Shot JR and stuff? So the Dallas TV show wasn't even filmed in Dallas, people. I mean, it's in Texas, but it's in Plano. So Plano is like north of, I can't remember where my little dot is here, but it's north of Dallas. But you can go and do a visit to the Ewing Mansion. What was the place? South Fork Ranch. See, I'll be honest, I never watched Dallas or Dynasty. I watched, what's that one? Fantasy Island, because it came on after The Love Boat. So I would watch those ones, but those other ones I didn't watch. But if you did, and you want to see like where they shot JR and the gun, they literally have the gun that shot JR. You can also see Lucy's wedding dress. That's obviously a thing. But that is the South Fork Ranch in Plano, Texas, where they filmed Dallas, okay? But there are still a couple of places in Dallas I want to mention. Dallas has got, now this is a place, I've been to Dallas a couple of times. They started sending me there for work, and it's crazy. Today, like 4 years ago, I got sent to Texas for work, and that started me doing Retro Roadmap full-time when I realized that I didn't want to be sent to Texas all the time for work. But anyhow, this is a place that I had wanted to get to, and I have not been there yet. This is the thing. Not like, oh, I haven't gone there. I just haven't gone there yet. Because I want to go to the Highland Park soda fountain. I told you earlier I love soda fountains. I love counter service. I love ice cream. I love like little luncheonette places where you can get like a pimento cheese sandwich or like little something like you'd hang out there with your grandmother, right? This is a place from 1912. And look, I wrote down that they even have grilled cheeses, malts and grilled cheeses, lots of retro style. That's in Dallas, Texas. Also in Dallas is the Texas Theater. Now there are a number of little old town, small town movie theaters in Texas and a few palatial ones. And I tend to love to send to people to the fancy ones. Now this one opened, the Texas Theater is in Dallas, opened in 1931, and it was remodeled in 1965. Now that's interesting because it is the place where Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested after assassinating President JFK in 1963. So that is a thing, if you're into that kind of aspect of travel history, of going to see where famous events happened, some fun, some not so fun, you would obviously want to go check out Dallas for the JFK history. Now, I don't want to dwell on that because there are so many other fun things to talk about. And we're going to talk about food. Because here's the funny thing about Texas. Lots of food there, right? Texas style. You think about this, Texas sized, 72-ounce steaks and all the fixins. So they are famous for their steaks. They are famous for their barbecue as well. Their barbecue is Texas style, is with white side, mainly Texas. This is what I think of Texas barbecue. I'm sure they do pork, but because it's such a big cow country, they do cow stuff. So it's cow stuff. They do beef. Beef barbecue is a big thing in Texas. Texas toast, if you've ever had Texas toast, what that is basically is just like regular sliced bread, but sliced double. So if you ever had a sandwich on Texas toast, you're kind of eating 4 slices of bread, which I think is delicious. So there's the barbecue you can get. As I said, lots of burgers. And one of the reasons that burgers are so prevalent in Texas, not only because of the cows, like Kansas gets bonanzas from the grain or the rain. I don't know. Texas gets bonanzas from the cows. Is because the earliest claim to fame of inventing the hamburger is some guy named Fletcher Davis of Athens, Texas, said he invented it. And then he says what happened was he ended up going and setting up a stand at one of the world's fairs, sharing the burger concept there. And then other places also, as you know, because I've hit some of these places in other states, think that they invent, or they also claim to have invented the hamburger. Now, I don't want to start any hamburger rivalries or whatever, but that could also be a fun kind of theme to do a road trip, to be like, I'm going to follow the history of the hamburger across the country. Now, if you are interested in doing something like that, I have a book to recommend just off the top of my head, Hamburger America, George Motz. He is the Hamburg historian. Like, I'm a generalist. I love it all. Some people focus on one thing, diners, drive-in movie theaters, miniature golf places, neon signs. George Motz is the hamburger guy. So if you are interested in learning about where all the good hamburger places are, he's your man. And if he can't do it, no one can. Somebody else can, but probably not as well. But see, that doesn't rhyme as well. If you were doing a cheer, if he can't do it, well, I bet somebody else could, and it would be pretty good. It would be fine. Yeah, team. But I digress. I'm rambling here. So let me get back onto the food tip. And then also, speaking of tips, if anybody else has any places in Texas that you like, that I may have missed or I have not mentioned, please put it in the comments, because this is a neat thing about having the comment section. When I repost these to the Retro Roadmap YouTube channel, I do not get, people don't get to see the comments, but they're here and you get to interact. And this is what I love about doing these Facebook Lives, is the interaction, not only between me and you, but the interaction between you all. Because this is the thing, it's not like a class where you all need to be quiet and pay attention. I love seeing that, Andy Havens, that I know from Broadmeadow, is meeting Jeff Cooper, who I know from, the orchestra and Florida, and he lives in the UK. And then Stuart Mason chimes in, and then he's got a Texas connection, and he lives in Massachusetts now, and Andy lives in, Ohio. And then you all kind of know each other because, you tuned in here. Now, it's not about me. This is not really about me, even though I tend to be the hub. It's more about what's going on in the spokes. So speak, if you have anything of Texas note to put in there, please do, because that would be you helping out other people, including me, because it may be a place that I have on my map that I haven't mentioned, or it could be a place that I totally missed myself. Burger Town documentary is good. It's okay, good to know. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. And I'm trying to see what else is going on. Well, let's talk about some food some more, because I want to make sure. This is one that I thought Retro Road husband Cliff Hillis, I wonder if we could get him back to come sing a leftover song. I don't know if we could, because some people maybe didn't tune in at the beginning. Did I? I don't know if I heard the song. I don't think I heard that. No. Anyhow, so I'm going to talk about Shinerbach. Hey, I'm talking about Shinerbach beer, and you know who really likes the Shinerbach beer? That would be Retro Road husband Cliff Hillis.
Hey, everybody. I don't have another song.
Patty Shreve just signed on.
I just had a really good idea, though. When you
for
wrap
it.
up, I'm going to come out and say, I'll sing you out.
Well, you could sing me out right now, because I'm going to talk about, well, here we go. Yeah, because I've got, well, here, sit down. Because I'm going to talk about 2 things you love,
I'll just back you up.
besides me. I'm going to talk about Shinerbach beer. beer?
Yeah.
I know you like that. And that's the Spotzel Brewery in Shiner, Texas. And you can go get the beer there and you get some t-shirts and stuff. Also Frito-Lay. Frito-Lay is headquartered in Plano, Texas. That's also where the South Fork was. And Frito Pie. I know how much you like the Frito Pie.
I love you, Frito.
And that is also Texas chili on top of Fritos. And this is the last thing I was going to mention, and then he can sing. You can do that. So here's a crazy thing. I have talked about in other states. There's a place called Texas Wieners. No. Texas Wieners. They don't have any Texas Wieners in Texas.
What?
There are other places. They're like Coney Islands and stuff like that. I couldn't find. If anybody knows of a Texas Wiener place in Texas, let me know.
I think there must be one.
I don't know. I couldn't find it. I don't know. So,
Well,
what's going on
what,
here?
What do you got left? You got more?
Well,
to
I
talk
was
about?
going to tell people, I am going to tell people that, so this is the end of the Texas episode, but I'm showing up, I show up every Thursday, 3 to 4. I'm doing all the states in the union, and next week is episode 39. Episode 39 is New Mexico.
Oh yeah.
No pressure. Do you know any New
UFOs, Roswell.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah. That. You see, I'm thinking New Mexico, and I'm thinking Tucumcari, and I'm thinking of Santa Fe, things like that. So that's, I've been doing it since March 17th. If you want to tip, me, buymeacoffee.com/modbetty. I'll throw the help a couple of bucks. And yeah, next week is, I am so excited about next week because it's Route 66. As I said, Route 66 goes through Texas, and then it goes, I'm going backwards, goes to New Mexico. And yeah, and then you're just gonna sing a song when I leave?
You know what?
Yeah?
It's just about 4 o'clock, isn't it? It's almost.
It's a look, yeah, go ahead.
What are you doing hanging around? You should be on that train bound. You should be on that train to San Antonio. What
am I doing hanging around? Thanks. Actually, here, hold on. So, where was he? If he was hanging around, he was going, Mike Nesmith, riddle me this.
He was someplace.
He was someplace, but he wanted to get to San Antonio.
Michael Kropp probably knows.
He might know, yeah. Or maybe it's just a mystery, you know what I mean? I don't know. But he took her to a garden just for a little walk. Didn't know much Spanish and there was no time for talk. Then he told her that he loved her, not with words but with a kiss. There we go. What am I doing hanging around? I should be on that train and gone. I should be riding on that train to San Antonio. What am I doing hanging around? There we go. Alrighty, partners. Well, this was Maud Betty and Cliff Hillis saying adios and saying just drive your life and, I don't know, just drive it to Texas. We will see you next week.